Wizards Postgame Live.
Back home for the first of 4 games, started with the matchup against the visiting New Orleans Pelicans, the 3rd-seeded team out of the West. Wizards had a pretty decent first quarter, but it was that second quarter where things took a turn. Unfortunately, the Wizards unable to climb back into the lane that they wanted to be. That would be the victory lane. The final score, 132-112. Wizards lose by 20. Welcome to Postgame Live. I am Wes Hall with Jason Smith. We'll be joined by Chris, Drew, and Megan in a moment. Of course, hearing from head coach Wes Unseld Jr. as well. Sticks, I'm going to leave this one open to you. You heard me just mention that second quarter scoring. That's where I want to focus. We'll do that later. Where do you want to focus right now?
Well, there's a lot of different places that we could focus.
Fair.
We could talk about turnovers, points off turnovers. We could go for points in the paint. It just wasn't the Wizards' night tonight, and I think they kind of got caught off guard. That first quarter, great first quarter, 37 points out the gate. But then after that, turnovers. Pelicans were playing hands in the passing lanes. They were getting out in transition. They were taking advantage of basically getting turnover turned into points for them, and that's just the story of the game. Valanciunas was a monster down there in the post, and I thought that the Wizards kind of got hit, and hit again. I think they have to take the video, learn from it, because this is an upper echelon Pelicans team. They're a Western Conference team. They were leading the Western Conference, but now they're 3rd. They had a couple bad losses to quality opponents, but regardless of who is out there on any given night, there was no Zion Williamson, there was no Ingram. Still, the Wizards, they went out there, they fought till the end, just wasn't their night on home.
I'm looking at the first half stats, and I see from 3, we're 6 for 13, 46% there. I have no problem with that. 4 for 4 from the free throw line, though.
Yes.
Should have gotten to the free throw line a little bit more with that. What was it about Valanciunas and defending him? What lesson did we learn when you see a big guy like that? What can we take from the matchup of someone like that?
Well, if you're a big, you're taking up the space, and Valanciunas does that very, very well. He's trying to get out there in the post, and he's taking up the space. He's not getting pushed off of his mark on the block, and he's going out there. He has one of the best shot fakes. The man only jumps 2 inches off the ground, but he goes out there and he's effective. He's strong as anything. He gets rebounds. He has long arms, and he's sitting at the front of the rim for when C.J. McCollum's driving the lane, missing free throws, missing layups, missing jump shots. He's getting the rebound and putbacks for and ones, if not 2 points as well.
So how do we deal with him the next time we see him? Because we will be seeing the Pelicans, I don't even think it's like even 10 days later on this month. How do we slow that down the next time we see him? Because next time, it's going to be down in their house.
We got to learn from it. Do your work early. In transition, go out there and get the job done. Make him make contact at the free throw line. Let him feel you. And by the way, stay out of foul trouble. You saw Daniel Gafford get 2 quick fouls. Taj Gibson got 2 quick fouls. They didn't do their work early, and you got to stay away from the ticky-tack fouls. He is great of going there and ripping his arms through and getting fouls.
Sticks, I appreciate that breakdown. I want to bring in Chris and Drew right now to get their thoughts on it. Obviously, Chris, we wish the Wizards could have delivered a birthday present for you. Unfortunately,
it's all good.
Yeah, I was going to say it's all good. I'm just glad to see that you're enjoying another day. But
we got up some cookies. We got up some cookies. Yeah, I'm good.
Well, matter of fact, speaking of cookies, Drew, give me something sweet to think about from this game, because a 20-point loss, that's hard to deal with. But I want something good to move in for Wednesday.
Yeah, well, halftime is made in our league to make adjustments and figure it out and go out there and carry out those adjustments, correcting the correctables. And tonight they didn't do that. They had 10 turnovers in the first half. Guess how many he had in the second half? 10 turnovers for 20. And they scored. They capitalized on all of those turnovers. Almost 40 points equated in those 20 turnovers. 74 points in the paint. I'm not even going to – that is an illusion, because a lot of those points in the paint were after layups, after turnovers, and easy scores. And in that second quarter, only having 19 points. Hey, listen, if you're going to give up a lot of buckets, if you're not going to get consecutive stops, you're going to have to score the ball. You're going to have to put the ball in the hole. And they did that. They shot a good enough percentage tonight, 50% from the field, over 40% from the 3, but you did not give yourself a chance. You shot yourself in the foot instead of shooting the ball at the rim, turn the ball over.
I'm concerned about something that I saw against Oklahoma City, and I thought it was just going to be on the back end of a road trip. The Wizards would take care of it. But, guys, in these last 2 games against Oklahoma City and tonight against New Orleans, they have committed 40 turnovers. The opposition has scored 71 points off of those. You got to clean that up. You're not going to give yourself a chance at all in this league if you keep turning the basketball over the way that they have. And listen, again, offensively, you score 112 points. Remember, the Wizards jumped out. It was 10-0. Willie Green called a timeout. After that, it was all Pels, led by Valanciunas, and then C.J. McCollum got going, and then the requisite others did their part. But again, my analysis is very simple tonight. Don't turn the basketball over.
And you're going to see this. You're going to see this team again coming up here shortly. And I like what Stick said. You got to do your work early when you're playing against Valanciunas. I like to see guys fight him off the block, move him out there. You could push in his back, get him away as far as you can possible from that restricted area. Whether it's meeting him at the free throw line in transition when he's a rim runner, or jumping in and white in front of him in the post, making them have to throw it over the top and then collapse and double team him. That's what they did against Porzingis, and it was highly effective.
And think about this. Wednesday night, you're going to see Nikola Vucevic, who does, guess what?
Exact
same thing.
Exact same thing. Guys, the 17 points that we scored in the first quarter against OKC, we knew that was problematic. Tonight, it's the second quarter with 19 points against New Orleans. So, Drew, the question I really have for you is, what's the threshold, the minimum threshold that the Wizards need to score per quarter to keep themselves in games, to make themselves have an opportunity for a victory?
28 plus. That's been a number I've been seeing for the Wizards. It's been a solid number, enough for them to be in the game, whether they're making mistakes on the defensive end or they're locking in defensively. And with those numbers, that's plenty enough to win a ball game. But around 28 points, right at around there. Now, if you start getting into the 30s, you can't give up 30s like tonight. The first quarter, you had 37 points, but you gave up 35. Third quarter, you had 32 points, but you gave up 32. So if you're going to be in these ball games where you're scoring at a high clip and turn the ball over, that's going to put extra pressure on your defense on the other end. So you got to come up with the timely stops.
You know, we talked about it during the broadcast, guys, and I want to get your take on this too. Scoring is up at a high rate, almost historical numbers league-wide. So if you're scoring 19 points in a quarter, that's not good in this league anymore. Like Drew said it, you might have to get into that 35 realm to think about giving yourself a chance. But again, if you turn the basketball over, it doesn't matter how many points you're scoring.
Yeah, 24 is not enough anymore in this league.
Yeah, and I completely agree with that. I think at 28, right around that is just a perfect amount, because if you're going 37 to 19, that's such a disparity out there. If you have some more consistency, that's where you put pressures on teams to go out there and, hey, if you're not going to stop us, we're going to continue to score. But on the defensive end, they were doing their job. It's just, it's difficult against the Pelicans team when you're turning the basketball over and over and over. You're not going to give yourself an opportunity to win many games.
I appreciate that, guys. Chris and Drew, of course, we're glad to see you guys back in town. Chris, go enjoy the rest of your birthday night. We'll see you both on Wednesday when the Chicago Bulls come to town again.
You got it, guys. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
As always, I want to bring in Megan McPeak. We see her courtside as well. Megan, the same question goes to you about tonight. What did you see that the Wizards needed to improve on most to try to work out a victory that obviously did not happen tonight?
Well, Chris and Drew talked about, obviously, the turnovers. That's a big thing. For me, it's also keeping them off the offensive glass. And obviously, Jonas Valanciunas is a force to be reckoned with, much like what we've seen when we've gone up against Memphis, dealing with Steven Adams. But at the end of the day, this team has proven that they are ready and willing and able to rebound the basketball and get out and run, especially on the defensive end. And I talked with Ryan Lumpkin at halftime and asked him point blank, how do you keep them off of the offensive glass? How can you clean that up? And that's something that was part of the scouting report coming into this game, and it's something that they allowed this Pelicans team to continue to do, especially those second chance opportunities. You can, if you're going to give up an opportunity on the offensive end, if you're going to give up that offensive rebound, you cannot, one, give them a bucket, and then two, also put them at the free throw line for an and one opportunity. So if it's not going to be turnovers, you've got to clean up the offensive glass for the opposing team. You've got to limit their second chance opportunities. I thought the Pelicans had an abundance of that tonight.
You know what's interesting, too? I'm looking at Daniel Gafford tonight. He had 13 points, Megan. Gave you 4 boards. There was a time in the game we saw him dealing with a little bit of pain in the elbow, and we'll talk about that later on. But what do you think about his matchup inside? Because as you mentioned, Valanciunas, you got Jokic, Embiid, the Joker, and Steven Adams. These are some really big physical men inside. What can Daniel Gafford do to try to find that next gear to try to deal with these guys who probably outweigh him by at least 15 to 20 pounds?
Yeah, I thought what Drew was saying throughout the broadcast, and he really hit it home, especially in that first half, was meeting JV at that free throw line at the very latest. Even try to get him above the break or around the three-point line. If you can meet him early and get your work done there, then it gives you a better chance to not, one, obviously get the foul called, because we saw that he got into foul trouble tonight. And that's something he's been able to remain out of over the last couple of games. So if you meet him early and make him physical, make him have to work to be able to get position and tire him out, it puts you at a better chance of not picking up the foul, because he's already tired for having to work for position. But also, too, in doing that, you're pushing him out of the way that he wants to go. You're not allowing him to get where he wants to go. You're not allowing him to sit down, put his butt in the low post, and get position on you. So the earlier you can meet a guy of that size and strength, the better position it puts yourself in defensively to, one, get an angle, but two, you're making it harder for him to try to get that offensive work done.
Sticks, I wish you could do
hold
like,
on.
What?
That was great analysis from a guard right there
Hey,
about
Sticks.
big man opportunities. But
In my defense, what people don't realize, I ended my career playing as a point guard. I started my career, I've been this size since I was like 7 years old.
Oh, you know
I've
that.
played,
You know.
I
I
have
know that
played
little
every
tidbit.
position.
You know, Megan.
What I was taught at an early age, when I was like 8, 9, 10, from my AAU coach, meet them early and do the work early, and you don't have to then put yourself in a worse position. So that's how I know how to at least meet them above the break.
Well, I'm going to add a layer to that, Sticks. How do you do so and protect yourself? Daniel Gafford with the elbow. We've seen it happen a couple of times where we get caught up in a rebound scrum and guys yank the ball, and we've seen him favoring that elbow. How do you defend against bigger guys and at the same time protect yourself?
So this is a very intricate detail about the game. You want to watch the film. You want to make sure that you put yourself in the best possible way to succeed. In the film, you got to make contact with him early, in transition, running with him, hit him at the free throw line, and not necessarily just go out there and forearm shiver and check him and get a foul, but make contact with his body. Don't let him see free space out there. And then when a person of Valanciunas doesn't have the ball, do your work early, knowing that the shot is going to go up, because he is so good at trying to go out there and make sure that the shot is going up. He's going to rebound position. He's going to push you out of the way. Know early, even that half second before he goes for that rebound, you got to make contact with him, because if he makes contact first, you've lost the battle. As a big, you want to take up space. You don't want to give up space, because if you do that, you're already cooked.
That's what we do not want. But you know what? As we're breaking down the big guys inside, I want to also talk about a guy who gave you his 14th double-double of the season. Just keeps racking them up. I'm talking about the unicorn, Megan. What's your assessment of his performance tonight? Because he still hit 3 for 5 from deep, still gave you 23 points, still gave you 10 rebounds. But again, in a loss, it's kind of one of those things that you almost forget about, because we've kind of grown accustomed to him giving us double-doubles on the daily.
Yeah, the interesting thing I found about KP this evening is I have never seen him more frustrated with an opposing team. And it wasn't so much a Jonas Valanciunas or a Larry Nance that was frustrating him. It was actually the guards. There was a couple times where Jose Alvarado was able to get in there and disrupt him, and KP, I mean, was wanting a foul called because he was getting shoved a lot from behind, which as a big, especially as a footer, as Sticks knows, when you're getting shoved from a smaller player in the mid to low back, that can cause problems. Keep in mind, KP has been dealing with back soreness throughout this early going of the season, so you want to also keep an eye on that. It's not so much his frustration, at least in my opinion, was that the foul was happening or that, the smaller guys were doing it. It was the fact that the officials were not looking for it, even though he was going to them and talking to them. It was the unawareness from that standpoint, I think, that was really frustrating him. But I think tonight was the most I've seen KP frustrated by an opposing defense. But the fact that he could still play through it and still give you a double-double, albeit in a loss, I can imagine that can be frustrating, but he continues to be consistent on a nightly basis, which is positive.
Indeed, and it's this one of those things that they're all going to be holding on to the lessons learned from this game, because again, we will be seeing New Orleans again. So this story is not over. We're merely halfway through it. But speaking of, holding tight right now, because we're going to have head coach Wes Unseld Jr. coming up on the other side of the break, and taking a look at East Baltimore's own Will Barton. As a matter of fact, here's just a snippet of what you'll see here in a moment on Wizards Postgame Live.
Will Barton, he's looking over at Coach Unseld, said, I got this, I'm from Baltimore.
Yeah, I feel like besides the rivalry, the DC-Baltimore thing, we got a lot of things in common, especially basketball. I think both cities, have a lot of talent, know the game. So I feel like when you have me on the team, it just, we kind of gel together and everybody can, just sit back and enjoy basketball and talk basketball.
Welcome back to Wizards Postgame Live. Daniel Gafford with the microphone on him. Sounds you only here on NBC Sports Washington. We'll have that for you a little bit later on. Right now, head coach Wes Unseld Jr. at the postgame podium addressing turnovers.
Well, the vast majority I thought was the turnovers. 39 points off turnovers, that's tough to overcome. A lot of them I thought were just careless, unforced. I thought the vast majority were unforced. It wasn't necessarily offense. You shoot 50 plus from the field, made enough threes. I just thought didn't get our defense into the game early enough. Beyond that first probably 4.5 minutes, then they start playing with a level of comfort.
Your offense seemed to be very deliberate, purposeful early in the half court at the opening of the game. And then did you sense that anything there changed that helped lead to some of those turnovers?
Oh, yeah. I thought we would start playing in crowds, trying to do too much, try to do it on our own. That's 2 games in a row where, the turnover's been an issue.
Wes, do you have an update on Gaff?
Right ankle sprain. He'll be reevaluated in the morning. I'm not sure the severity as of yet.
And what did you see on Valanciunas in the second quarter particularly? It seemed like he was doing really well against your guys.
Yeah, a lot of the paint catches. Those weren't post-ups. Those are just, he's right at the rim. He does a really good job of sealing high lows, ducking in. He carves out a lot of space, so just kind of meeting him with force, getting him out of the paint, rooting him up the floor prior to the catch. Once he catches it, it's probably too late.
Kuzma seemed kind of a little frustrated tonight. What did you see from him?
Yeah, I thought, the foul trouble, that frustrated him quite a bit. Just tough. You pick up early fouls. It's hard to get a rhythm. So, I can imagine that's a little frustrating, and we have to count on him and Kuz to, spearhead a lot of our offense. So I think that was a contributing factor.
Head coach Wes Unseld Jr. at the post-game podium. In pregame, we mentioned this, and I want to remind everybody, looking at the road ahead for the Wizards, the lowest remaining strength of schedule entering Monday. The Wizards in second place, .484, okay? The opponent winning percentage under 500. That is in the Wizards' favor. Of course, eclipsed only by the Raptors. So with that in mind, Sticks and Megan, starting with you, Jason, the first 41 are done. What's a lesson learned from that batch that we can apply to the second batch of the 41?
That first part of that season, take that for the second half of the season. If your strength of schedule is not playing over 500 teams, still don't get happy on the farm. Don't play down to your competition. Go back to that first part of the season where you had the big 3 playing at a great level. Bradley Beal in pick and roll with Porzingis, Kuzma going out there, sitting in the corner, if not having a launching pad, getting to the rim. But going out there and remaining healthy, that's the biggest thing for the Wizards, because when you have those 3 guys out there on the floor, combine it with a Daniel Gafford and a Rui Hachimura, this is a dangerous team. And the fact that you have a easier schedule on the second part of the season, go out there and take advantage of it. You dug yourself a little bit of a hole. You had a very difficult December, but guess what? The season is not over. You've gotten through the worst part of it. Now there's a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. Playoffs are still a potential possibility. You have to go out there and play every game, regardless if it's a Western Conference opponent, an Eastern Conference opponent, but play it like you have the potential to go out there and make some noise.
Jason, you talk postseason aspirations. Megan McPeak, that means we have to up the ante on the question. What's a lesson learned from the first 41 that you can apply to the next 41 with playoff aspirations in mind?
Also keep in mind they're playing up against the trade deadline, and you don't know if the front office will or won't make moves. So let's go under the assumption that nothing changes and the roster stays as is moving forward for the next 41 games. You've got to, as Stick said, take what you learned in the first half of the season when it comes to how the big 3 plays together. Obviously, this is thinking that Bradley Beal will be returning soon. Keep in mind, he'll be reevaluated. This was only his second game missed after re-aggravating that hamstring. He's got 1 more before that reevaluation happens per the coaching staff. You look at that. Look at what you've gotten from your bench. You've gotten some productivity out of a Will Barton. You've gotten productivity out of a DeLon Wright and a Jordan Goodwin. What they're able to do on the offensive and mainly the defensive end when you look at those 3. Also look at what you've gotten out of Rui Hachimura. Easily could be in the conversation and should be in the conversation for 6th man of the year. Look at the positives that you have from those first 41 games. You also have to learn from the negatives. Careless with the ball. turnovers over the course of the last, I would say, 10 to 12 games have not been what the expectation was prior to those 10 to 12 games. You look at that first half of the season, they were, top in the league when it came to taking care of the basketball. Look at what you did positively, as Stick said, and even look at some of the negatives and make those adjustments. And as Stick said, don't take the teams that are under 500 lightly, because they're looking to also do what you're trying to do, and that's put themselves in contention for the playoffs or the play-in situation. So you've got to go into every single game with the utmost respect for those opponents, because if not, you will get punched first, much like you saw against Oklahoma City and like we saw tonight after that first quarter.
Right now, the Wizards sit at 17-24. To surmise both of your points, I think it's safe to say no nights off for the rest of the season. Not like they were taking them off before, but you absolutely cannot afford to give up any other ones left on the schedule, regardless of who you're playing. So both of you, I appreciate it as much. On the other side, though, we talked about Will Barton earlier. I showed a snippet of it. Well, I want people to understand there's no place like home. The Wizards back at home for 4 games. Will Barton back home in the DMV area, and that includes Baltimore when we're talking about basketball. So DC-Baltimore connection with Will Barton on the other side with more Wizards Post-Game Live. Welcome back to Wizards Post-Game Live. I want to give you something to add to your calendar. How about basketball day in the DMV? Elite high school boys and girls games broadcasted on NBC Sports Washington and Monumental Sports. All of this happening right before the Wizards take on the Magic. So I suggest you are ready and prepared. All coverage starts 10 a.m. on January 21st. So enjoy, enjoy, enjoy.
I'm telling you, that was the best thing that could have happened for me, to have him home so I get to spend Christmases, Thanksgiving. I'm with him, even though he's playing. He may not be here, but at least like before holidays, I can see him before or after. Sometimes he's away. He gets to eat. He loves my cooking. He gets to see his family members more, some friends, and just I can love on him more.
It's awesome to hear moms talk about the joy they have when their kids are able to return close to the confines of home and family. But this isn't the only piece that you're going to get. Chris Miller and Coach Jimmy Patsos had a chance to run up to Charm City to talk to Will Barton and those associated with him about the return of East Baltimore's own, The Thrill.
Here's Barton. Oh! He got a body at Cap One Arena. Will Barton. East Baltimore, you hear it?
You was getting down in one of the early games, and I said during the broadcast, I said, East Baltimore, stand up. And the dude on Twitter hit me up. He's like, man, what you know about East Baltimore? I said, man, Thrill taught me about East Baltimore.
Yeah. Baltimore City basketball, I think it's some of the top basketball around. It's very competitive. It's just hard. The climates you're playing in is kind of tough to play in. And if you can come out of Baltimore City basketball, you can play anywhere.
They play very hard, and they never give up, never give up. They play all day, all night, and they practice even harder.
Don't lose that grit and that grind, because that's the identity of Baltimore basketball.
Tell us about Will Barton's first experience in basketball in Baltimore.
His uncle bringing basketball and the football to our home and throwing it up and said whichever one he get, him and his brother, that's the sport he would play. So, of course, he gravitated to the basketball and started dribbling that ball from the age of 4, never putting it down, sleeping with the basketball night after night.
I just gravitated to it. I remember my mom, like last year, sent me a picture. I was little, I probably was about 2 years old, and she holding me on her lap, and I got a basketball in my hand, like a little blue basketball. I just loved it. I don't know. I don't remember seeing anybody play or watching TV at first. It just, like, ever since I could just remember, I just always had a ball in my hand.
Will Barton's upbringing in Baltimore, he's got a toughness about him. And he gets that toughness from his mother, Miss Karen. There's no doubt about it. She's instilled that discipline, that toughness, that drive that Will Barton has. So his mother deserves all the credit.
He did it. He said he was going to do it. And I'm so proud of you, Will Barton.
And here's Will the Thrill. All net. East Baltimore, stand up.
He's a Beatmore kid. Plays like he's from Beatmore.
you know basketball, you know what that is.
What are you and Will Barton teaching these young men as guys that came from Baltimore about the toughness, about the knowing the game, etc.?
I think the first thing that we teach is that toughness component. It's a very competitive town. It's a very gritty town, and we represent that, I think, within our program. No handouts, no favoritism. The accountability is there. We talk a lot of trash, but we also teach, though. We teach it at a high level.
I think he always go back to himself. He hasn't forgotten about him being a young kid just wanting to play ball all day long. So now he's given little Wills opportunity to play basketball all the time. But that's him. They just little Wills playing basketball.
It's always been a dream of mine to make it to the NBA. Even when I was young, that was the plan, to make it and then be able to start my own youth basketball program so I could give back. I remember before I started traveling for basketball, I didn't know nothing else but my block. And you start seeing, different places, how big the world is. Your attitude, your mind start changing. You start wanting more for yourself. So I wanted that for the kids.
I'm really proud of Will, the young man that I remember seeing Will Barton and who he's become now. I'm just so darn proud of Will Barton, and it's a real privilege and honor to be able to coach him.
Anything you want to say to the young people watching what they should learn from Will Barton?
Once you get to a certain place in life, don't forget where you come from. Don't forget your roots. Don't forget the people that helped you get there. Do not turn your back because you got to a certain place in life and you've forgotten where you come from. Don't ever do that.
Great story about the thrill. Let's take a look at our FanDuel best bets from tonight. We can make every moment more. If you would have looked at this game and come in tonight and said, you know what? Kristaps Porzingis is going to have 10 or more rebounds at plus 140. A $10 bet would have won you $14. If you would have said Corey Kispert is going to have 3 or more threes, that was at plus 310. So a $10 bet would have won you $31. With that in mind, let's talk about Monsieur Kispert. 5 for 10 from behind the arc today. Now, mind you, it isn't a loss, so I will keep things in perspective. But Sticks, when he's hitting, he's hitting. You have to admire that. 41% from 3 over his rookie, 35%. I'm not mad at it.
He was shooting with confidence tonight, and especially towards the end of the game, he was kind of throwing them up there, which I kind of felt bad. The percentage went down, but he's a guy who's gotten his confidence, and especially early on in the season, you saw him kind of struggle, but he was coming off of an ankle injury, and as a shooter, you need your legs under you. When he got back into his shooting form, he's coming off of down screens, he's coming off of pick and rolls, and he's going out there and he's being aggressive. That's all you can ask for, because that's exactly what the Wizards drafted this man for, is to shoot threes. And he shoots it at such a high clip, you can't help but play him. With Bradley Beal being out, you need some scoring threat out there. This is a guy who can score it from deep. You got Porzingis that can shoot threes, but this man out here, if you're going to leave him open, he's going to do this too. He's going to dot you in the eye, and he's going to go out there and play some good defense. And that's all you can ask. Corey Kispert's doing his job, making sure he's playing good defense, buying into the concepts, not really forcing things on the offensive end, but when he has an open shot, he takes it. That's what you like as a Wizards fan, and you want more of it from him.
Megan, even though Corey's shot does not have a lot of arc on it, that release is quick. How advantageous is it for him and the Wizards to have a guy that has such a quick release?
Yeah, I think when you're a shooter, you figure out what your sweet stroke is. You figure out what your sweet pocket is, and Corey Kispert has figured that out. He figured that out a very long time ago, even well before he got to the Washington Wizards, because he had the same level of success when he was at Gonzaga at the college program and at the college level. So you look at what he's been able to do. You don't want to necessarily tweak it because it's just second nature to him. So you want to figure out what his sweet spot is, and obviously they have all the analytics to figure that out now with the specific shooting system that a lot of the facilities have to figure out where the arc is, what he needs the arc to be at, what angle, and how quickly his releases. But the fact that he has such a quick release, it makes it easy on his teammates to know that they can get him the ball, as you know, as basketball players know it, we know it as a grenade, which is you're getting the ball with under 4 seconds on the shot clock left. And typically bigs, as Sticks knows, they don't want that grenade. But Corey Kispert has no problem having that grenade sent to him because he knows how quick his release is. So that's in situations where you like having a guy like Corey Kispert with how quickly he can get the shot off, in the ability to for the shot to fall too, because he's used to shooting it that quickly, and also the movement without the ball. I said this a couple games ago. It reminds me of what a Steph Curry and a Ray Allen do. Not saying that he is them, but the amount of movement that they had as players and as shooters to get themselves the ball, because one, you get yourself an open shot because you're tiring your defender out. The more he does that, and that's something he did off of Gonzaga and playing behind Rui Hachimura out there, is let me try and get a few points off of cutting to the basket and getting, easy cuts like that. But it's also assisting him in getting the shot off as well too, when you think of the fact the defender has to respect the fact he'll attack the paint and will cut through the paint, but guess what? He's still a lethal shooter.
It's crazy because he'll wear them out physically by running around, and then when he knocks the three down, breaks him mentally. It's a dangerous combination. If you have to try to guard that dude, I want no parts of that. I will sit here behind this desk and do my job. But coming up, before we get to that, I want to remind everybody, right now at FanDuel, you can bet $5 and get $150 in free bets guaranteed. So download the FanDuel app right now and start making every moment more. But speaking of, on the other side, how about a mic'd up Daniel Gafford and a film room on PostGame Live? Welcome back to Wizards Post Game Live. The next time you'll see us will be Wednesday at 6:30 for Wizards Bulls. Pre-game live starts here, of course. NBC Sports Washington is the place you want to be for some Wednesday night action. Game number 2 on this 4-game homestand. And by the way, the first 10,000 fans in the building will get these hats. And
rocking it. Bro, I got the you got the classic. I got the classic.
Right, he's got the current. It's all about the hats. First 10,000 fans in Cap One Arena get one of these, and you won't get these because these belong to us. But hurry up and slide your way over there. It looks pretty nice on you, Jason.
Hey, I got the sponsorship up in the front, Capital One, right there, baby.
That's what it's all about. Now, you heard us mic'd up all night. How about Daniel Gafford mic'd up and before the game, perhaps during the game? We're all going to learn at the same time. This is going to be fun. Daniel Gafford mic'd up on Wizards Post Game Live.
Can't cuss today. Can't cuss today, Jern. Oh, great hands. There it is. Oh, don't want no lane violations. Shippy dog. Thank you.
Hey, I heard you mic'd up tonight.
Hey,
he mic'd up. He's mic'd up.
Hey, oh my goodness. So, baby, how you? How are you? Good. Hey. Get up. I'm stuck. I'm free. Yeah, baby. Here we go. Go time, fellas. Hey, first one, cover 5. First one, cover 5. By yourself. Down. Back. Good pass. Get to this bucket. Yes, sir. Easy money. Yeah, take. Hey! Woo! Oh, that's tall. Yo, that's a bad man right there. Yo, Coos. Good hands. Whoa! Let's go. Denny, let's lock in. Come on. Make sure we're talking to each other. Down. I'm back. Get through this. Low. We go white. First five. Number 5. Yo, just making it look good. Okay. Down, Coos, down. That's tough, Coos. Hey!
I absolutely love that, man. The landlord talking to people. Right now, we got to get in the film room and talk about some coups first, Jason.
Man, if you ever have the landlord saying that he doesn't talk, he talks. We'll bring that film up. But with Kuzma tonight, he was on fire in that first half. He was taking the game upon himself to go out there and get activated. That is a difficult shot. A little step back, fading away, three-point bucket. That is tough. But, okay, you're going to take the three-point basket away from him. He knows that the defense is going to go out there and close out hard to him because he's made a three. Okay, I got the ability to have a launching pad, get to the rim, maybe load up for a dunk. Nope. Nice little Euro step, but if you're going to have a little isolation play, he's good enough to read the defenses, and boy, oh boy, does he do a beautiful spin move against a smaller player. Get to the rim. Oh, am I going to dunk it again? No. I'm going to go up and under. Maybe with a little flair, too. Watch his tongue. He's going to do a little MJ tongue right there. Ooh, you heard Daniel Gafford say, oh, that's tough, because Kuzma, He's making it look easy. He's aggressive on the offensive end, getting to the rim, knocking down threes. He had a little problem with foul trouble tonight, but I look forward to going with that matchup against the Bulls on Wednesday as well.
Can you think about it? It's the second time that he's fouled out this season, and last time was against the Lakers. And it's something so unaccustomed to Kyle Kuzma to do that. He still gave you 19 points, though. Megan, when we think about the way Kyle plays the game, we know that he has aspirations for the All-Stars. We're glad for the votes. In the absence of Brad right now, we found a matchup that gave the Wizards difficulties in the Pelicans. What can Kyle do the next time he sees New Orleans that can definitely benefit him?
Attack them. Do exactly what they did to him to put him in foul trouble, and just simply attack them. I'm gonna sound like a broken record, but I'm still convinced of this because no one has still proven me wrong. When Kyle Kuzma gets downhill and gets 10 toes in the paint, who is stopping him? Sticks just did the film room. How many of those highlights were him attacking, getting 10 toes in the paint? Kyle Kuzma in attack mode is one of the most lethal players, not only on this roster, but in the NBA because of his unique ability to stop on a dime and pull up with a fade, or pull up with a little bit of a hezzy, or attack the paint and go with the soft touch with the finger roll, go with that hook shot, as we heard Chris and Drew talking about. Oh, he can even hit you with the dream shake. Oh, but guess what? He can also just attack the rim with sheer force and throw it down on your head. So the moment he gets 10 toes, not only in the paint, but below the three-point line, the defense is already in a problem, and you put yourself in a bad position. When he attacks, he's unstoppable.
You know what's so crazy, too? When he feels he can't even get in the paint, you know what he'll do? Pull up from 3 feet behind the line and just let it fly. And what's crazy is he'll hit him there, a 50-50 shot. So it's just kind of remarkable. But thank you for that input on Kyle Kuzma, because guess what? We're going to need him to be his best self on Wednesday when we take on the Bulls. They're in town. It's visitation number 2 on a 4-game homestand. On the other side, we're going to get you ready for that matchup against Chicago when PostGame Live returns. Welcome back to Wizards Postgame Live as we take a look back at our bold predictions brought to you by Greenberg and Betterman. Remember, go to gblawyers.com and feel better. We said the Wizards were going to outsteal the Pelicans. That was not what happened tonight.
We had high hopes, didn't quite work.
Aspirations, and it's all right. But again, go to gblawyers.com and feel better. Powered by Greenberg and Betterman. Those are your bold predictions. However, on a positive note, DeLon Wright, 500 career steals, hand in the cookie jar, never gets caught. I love it. Shout out to DeLon. Now, with that in mind, looking forward to the Chicago Bulls. Six, coming to you first real quick. Who is the head of the snake that we need to focus on in trying to neutralize the Bulls?
You know, in my opinion, it's all big based.
Of course.
Vucevic, he's a guy who tonight he had 21 and 13 against Boston, an upper echelon Eastern Conference team. Yeah. He's a guy who's head of the snake, but you also got Zach LaVine.
Yeah, true. So that leads me to the question, the same one for you, Megan. Who do we need to kind of keep our eyes on?
See, I feel like you are assuming what I'm going to say about this, but Sticks kind of took it. I'm actually going with Zach LaVine.
Okay, I see what y'all doing. It's Seattle's finest with Zach LaVine. It's all good. My ultimate thing is this, though. Whether we have the 2 bigs in the paint, I think we're going to run that back again. It's all about defense and not turning the ball over. Can we all agree with that?
Yes.
Ball.
Hold
no
on
more
to the possession.
Thank you. That's what it's all about. Quality possessions. And we appreciate you hanging out with us tonight, Wizards fans. We'll be back on Wednesday night, as I said, to take on the Bulls. On behalf of Megan McPeak, our great crew and staff here at NBC Sports Washington, Jason Smith, I am Wes Hall. Have a safe night. We will see you Wednesday back here in D.C. for more Wizards Pregame Live.